Welcome to the Whisky Explorer. Thanks so much for tuning in for another episode, guys. And if this is your first time on the channel, if you could please do us a quick favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave us a comment down below, let us know what you think about this rye, and we'll get the conversation continued here at the Whisky Explorer. And tonight, guys, we have got a new product to our market here anyways in BC. We've got Sagamore Spirit Rye. Alright, so this actually came as part of our Summer Spirit release, so I'm just kind of getting around to it now. But it is a new product here in BC, Canada, which is where I live. But I do actually know that this does make it out to Ontario as well. I'm not sure about our friends in other provinces, but this of course would be very readily available in the United States. This is actually Sagamore Spirits. They're out of Maryland, so they are basically sort of trying to revive the rye scene there. Apparently it was quite a thriving industry there in Maryland prior to Prohibition, so they are kind of bringing that back with this Sagamore Spirit. And they are actually sourcing their rye from MGP, and then in this case this is the Sagamore Spirit Double Oaked Rye. So this is actually finished in a secondary cask. So this would actually initially go through its regular process. They say it's aged approximately 5 to 6 years, and then it is finished in a wave stave barrel. So I did try to do some research on that. I wasn't able to find any other additional information. And if you do know what the wave stave thing is all about, please allow me to know. I'm always learning in this kind of fun whiskey journey, so please drop a comment down below. Let me know what that is. I could only assume it's sort of waves that are carved into the staves in order for it to get even more interaction on the wood. But when this goes into the secondary cask for the second maturation period, it's actually full 18 months, which is actually a ton of time in that secondary cask. So if you think about something like another kind of double oaked product, like for example, one of our favorite is, or one of my favorite anyways, I should say. I don't know if it's your favorite, but one of the double oaks that I really, really like is the Woodford Double Oaked. And the Woodford Double Oaked is actually only 6 months in a secondary kind of, they call it a lightly charred and heavily toasted barrel. I believe that's the correct way around there. But they do it for 6 months, so 18 months is like 3 times the amount of time, and that's just, a lot of time, I think, for it to be in that secondary barrel. And I think that has a massive impact on the flavor profile and on just how expressive this rye is. But we'll get into that in the review here. So first of all, let's take a quick color check in the glass here. It is a super dark color. So this is like, a very kind of like a mahogany color in the glass. It's really, really dark. I'll hold up the bottle here as well so you guys can have a look at the bottle. I showed you some in the B-roll there, but you can just see how dark that liquid is in the bottle. Super, super dark, rich looking whiskey. I'm just sort of starting to branch into rye, so I hope to have more on the channel, but as it stands right now, I've kind of just, dipping a foot into, I don't like ryes in general, so I'm trying to get into it and trying to get introduced to more ryes and trying to appreciate the flavor profile of a rye, so that I can explore more genres of whiskey. And I love American whiskey, so this is a great one to try out, I thought. Price point here, this one was actually quite expensive. It was $99 plus tax. In the States, I think it runs about $60. So considering the import and exchange rate and all that jazz, I guess it's not too bad a price. But yeah, we'll get into this one and we'll see what we think here. I just love the bottle design. As an aside, it's absolutely a beautiful looking bottle. Love the kind of navy blue and gold motif, and then the bottle shape itself is so unique. So it's a really cool looking bottle. Love that about it. Very good design. And I'm actually just watching as the legs go down. They're going down that super slow on the glass there. So we'll go ahead and give this a nose. Cheers. Oh, wow. Honestly, this is an incredible nose. And immediately what I got when I very first cracked this bottle was I couldn't believe that this wasn't finished in a sherry cask. There's so much like thick, kind of fruity, sherry, leathery, sweet, deep, dark, kind of cooked down fruit notes to this whiskey that I was shocked to find out that it wasn't a sherry cask. I knew that it wasn't because I had done a lot of research, watched a lot of reviews before I pulled the trigger because it is a bit expensive here. Wanted to make sure that it was, you know, the right purchase for myself. Everyone kind of had good things to say about it. And so, yeah, this is bottled as well, just to mention the proof on this. Bottled at 48.3% alcohol by volume. So a decent proof as well, which I kind of like. It's also won 96 points from the tasting panel. I'm not too familiar with that one, but I think it also won at the San Francisco Spirit Awards as well. So it's definitely getting accolades. And this, I should also mention, is part of the Sagamore Spirits core lineup. So if you get Sagamore Spirits in your market, then you will certainly get this one, I'm sure. All right, so let's get back to the nose there. That was a bit of a long aside. My apologies. Yeah, this is just, it has, I feel like it just is like it finished in a sherry barrel, or at least, you know, even if you told me it was finished for 3 months in a sherry barrel, like just a short maturation, just to pick up those rich sherry notes, I would be like, oh yeah, definitely, I could totally see that. I'm super surprised that it isn't, but it is not. So it's a secondary cask that is white American oak. That, let's see if it gives us any details on that here. Transfer the age, it says, into toasted wave stave barrels for an additional 18 months. So it says the increased surface area of the low char medium plus toast stave imparts double oak's delightful, and then it goes into tasting notes, but I don't want those to influence my tasting here, so we'll leave those off until you guys kind of pick that up and can read that on your own if you want to grab this one. So yes, it is a toasted barrel, toasted white American oak, and then the wave staves, I'm not sure, I'm only guessing that they carve grooves into the staves to make them wave-like, and maybe that does something, I don't know what. But if you do know, let me know down below. All right, let's go in for a taste on this. I'll give you some quick nosing notes real quick. So this has a nice, really nice, sweet character to it. There is like vanilla, cherry, plum, and baking spice. So some cinnamon, nutmeg, brown sugar. Beautiful nose on this. I could smell and nose this all night, and I think this would make the perfect fall whiskey. So perfect timing for this review to come out. Let's get a taste of this one here, guys. Cheers. Wow, this has really opened up. The first thing I got hit with was vanilla. Tons of vanilla, but there's a toasty kind of wood note that is just a straight backbone through line to this. It's like dry cedar. Very strong wood oak note to it. It's definitely a little bit drying at the end of the palate, but there's enough going on there. Like, it is a little bit viscous and mouth coating. Really nice kind of cherry, plum, cooked down kind of fruit notes. That vanilla is coming back again. Now there's some caramel, a little bit of toffee maybe, brown sugar. This is an incredibly complex whiskey. There is tons of layers, tons of going on in this. Very nice and sweet and welcoming too. Gives you a little bit of a hug going down, not too much. I think this is a fantastic rye whiskey. And that's coming from someone who's just not traditionally a very big rye drinker. I really enjoy this. I'll definitely be revisiting this and I'll enjoy it all the way through, I'm sure. This has got a lot going on, guys. I can easily recommend this one right away. Let's go in for a second sip. Cheers. Okay, more rye note comes out on the second sip. There's a little hint of dill there, but it's almost like sweet. And there is much more of those baking spices on that second sip. More cinnamon, a ton of clove in there. Some figs and those cooked down sweet fruits like plum, cherry, nice overall vanilla sweetness to it as well. It was more coating this time as well. So there's a good mouthfeel to this as well. This is a great rye. I mean, I don't have much experience in ryes, but I have had some ryes that are very different than this. Much more kind of minty and dill forward, and that dill note is very off-putting. It isn't off-putting in this. I'm really enjoying this. So I think, especially if you're in the States where this is a bit of a more kind of friendly on the pocketbook acquisition, and you love rye and you like toasted products, I think you got to go for this. You do want to be aware that there is a little bit of astringency in the very back end of the finish. And it is drying on the palate, so very drying. The wood is very strong on the finish of this. So if you like a really woody, an expressive whiskey, a rye whiskey with lots of baking spice in it, and lots of multiple layers to it, I think you're going to love this whiskey, guys. So thanks so much for joining me for another episode. Until next time, may your sails be full and your drowns be fuller. Cheers.